Well, happy July 4th, everybody. Welcome to July 4th. Here on Tuesday, July 4th. July 4th. Happy 4th of July, everybody, from the Kimo's Automotive Radio Show. And you guys are probably wondering, oh, it's sunny outside. It's a great day. No, it's not. That's not sun out there. That's not sun out there. It is not sunny out here. It is, as you guys can see, single ounce of sun here today. It is a very rainy July 4th, and it'll be like this for the rest of the day, which is why I had my hamburger and hot dog outside yesterday. And yes, so happy July 4th, everybody, even though it's a crabby day here on the 4th. Everybody, well, I got to hear fireworks last night and the night before, and stuff like that. It has been quite, it's been quite quiet around here. So yeah, I'm not doing much of anything. I got up at about 10:30 today. Put my new eye drops in at about. And I actually just put them in. Well, actually, I put my eye drops in at 12 o'clock, at like 12:30, and I'm probably gonna have to put them in probably about half an hour's time, probably about 45 minutes from now. So yeah, so that's been my day. So yeah, you guys are probably wondering, what do I mean by these? Well, I went to the eye doctor the other day, and I figured out the redness in my eye was not because being bloodshot or because I'm not getting any sleep. It's part of a growth on my cornea, which hopefully the steroid eye drops have. I've been using them for 3 days now. I've had to use it 4 times a day. So this week will be 4 times. Next week it'll be 3, and so on and so forth. So I'll be putting them on at 12, 4, 12:30, 4:30, 8:30, and then probably at 11:30 tonight. So yeah, so that's gonna be interesting. So that's gonna be interesting. I probably am gonna have a hamburger and hot dog, because I have them in the fridge. So not gonna have any beer or junk food because I've already had a couple of beers so I've already had because I had a couple of beers Saturday to get it out of my system and stuff like that, because I'm trying to lose the weight. I'm currently down to 224. Well, 224. I'll be down further as I work this week, so that'll be interesting. So yeah, so happy July 4th, everybody. We are celebrating our independence from the British. So you guys just heard a thunderbolt outside. So yeah, I have done so, and I think when I'm finished doing this vlog for July 4th, I'm going to be sifting through footage and stuff like that for Watkins Glen. I'm going to be showing you guys some footage of I didn't get any footage of the pre-grid. I did not get any footage of that. I got photos. I'm probably going to put together a bunch of photos that I got as well on a separate video. So you guys could do that, and I'm going to probably do a voiceover of what those videos are. What those photos are, and what I might do is I might show you what the future of racing is going to be like if we decide to go fully electric, and not just electric hybrid. I mean fully electric. I'm going to put together. I've got 2 videos of a GT car that's fully electric, and I won't tell you what manufacturer it is until you guys look at it. I knew it was going to be debuting this weekend. I knew it was going to debut. I knew it was going to be debuting last weekend, and stuff like that. But yeah, enough about cars. Enough about this. Enough about everything. Let's talk about American independence. Well, today, as you guys know, is Independence Day here in the U.S. And you guys will know back in 1776, hopefully my phone stays. Hopefully the Samsung stays. So yeah, you guys will know back in 1776, almost 248 years ago, we declared our independence from Britain, and our fight for independence began. That Declaration of Independence was signed in 1776. Too bad we'd be fighting the British for another 30 years. In order to get our independence. We declared our independence in 1776, but we didn't get our independence till the early 1790s. So it took almost 3 decades for us 3 decades and many years of fighting to actually get the victory that would be that we deserve, and we become our own nation. And would struggle, of course, in the early 1800s in order to get fully independent and become the democracy that we are today. So if we did not sign that if our founding fathers did not sign that document, we wouldn't have declared our independence. It was a very long document saying we should have the right to bear arms, and we should have the right to do this, and we should have a militia, yada yada yada, and yet the king wouldn't allow us to have that. And just to prove the point that we were playing around, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, and I think a couple other guys signed it, including John Hancock, who actually signed his name bigger than everybody else because he didn't want to have. He told the rest of his guys that he wanted the King George, to be able to see his signature without having to put his spectacles on. Everybody else wrote their name very tiny, and John Hancock's like, I don't want the king to have to wear his spectacles. He should be able to see my name and all that sort of thing. The goings of that war were pretty brutal. and it wasn't until the French got into got into it with us that we were actually able to fight that whole war. And a lot of you are probably wondering, well, how did the revolution start? Well, the revolution started when we were unsatisfied with British rule. We didn't have representation. We couldn't really. We were taxed with representation. Rules were put on us, and acts were put on us without representation. It was basically tyranny. Basically, it was basically a tyrant state or a communist state, literally, where we didn't have many rights and we didn't have very much say in our government, and it was totalitarian by our. It was totalitarian, if I could get that word out, by our standards today, and we decided we'd fight back. We did many things to upset the British, and one of the things that we did to upset the British was to do the Boston Tea Party, where we dumped thousands and thousands and thousands of tea bags and tea leaves into the Boston Harbor, and King George in the red coats, or the lobster backs as they used to call them, shut down the port of Boston because and they were known as the Intolerable Acts, and we weren't allowed to bear arms. We weren't allowed to. Soldiers in redcoats would be allowed to be barracked in our houses without question, and it was just real. It was just real. Totalitarian. It was real. It was real tyranny, and we really didn't want that to happen. And we signed the Declaration of Independence, and we decided to fight for the next 20 odd years. I don't think we really won the war until like the mid to early 1790s, if I can remember correctly. And we fought many wars. I remember the Germans joined the British, and I think the Germans joined the British, and I think the French joined us, and a bunch of other people joined the British cause, and a lot of people joined our cause, and we fought and fought and fought, and then eventually, thanks to Marquis Lafayette, Lafayette, we were actually able to win many, many, many important battles. I forget which battle it was, but there was one battle where there was an important battle, big battle we won, that the French recognized us as a nation that could fight back, and they recognized that we could do that. I forget which war it was. I forget which battle it was where the French recognized that we could fight, but they were fighting alongside us, and they were doing their own thing because they hated the British themselves because they already had the French-Indian War. They had the French-Indian War already, and all this and all that other good stuff, and and then they also had the colonists versus the French, and it was a bunch of mishmash of crap. But it wasn't until that one battle that we, I forget if it was the Battle of Bunker Hill or Ticonderoga or something like that. But there was one of the, but there was that one battle, one or two of those. It wasn't just one battle. It was kind of a culmination of them. But there was one battle where we held our own, and the French were like, "Oh, it's Americans. They can hold it." they can hold themselves. We should help them. And they're like, ho ho ho, you know. And they eventually sent over some very good people, and they helped us defeat um, General Cornwallis, who was a big military name. It was a big general and a very decorated war veteran. Maybe one of the greatest opponents, and maybe one of the most brutal opponents that the colonists faced in our battle for independence. And the movie The Patriot very much highlighted just how brutal he was and how much of a rival he was to the colonists trying to fight for their independence. And if you guys haven't seen The Patriot and you guys don't know what The Patriot is, please do watch the movie. It's got Mel Gibson. It's got Heath Ledger. There's a bunch of other good people. Jason Isaacs plays General Cornwallis. He does a very good job of displaying just how aggressive and how how driven Cornwallis was to destroying the colonists' hopes of getting out the redcoats or the lobsterbacks out of Boston. And they eventually did drive them out of Boston, and they eventually spread it to other places like New York, Connecticut, and Maine, and all these other places. And some of these battles, if we didn't win them, we wouldn't be speaking our American accent today, and Boston wouldn't be known as the center of or the capital of freedom. Even though New York did have its, even though New York didn't have its, New York and Boston both have significance in the fight for our freedom. And I believe it was, one of the battles in New York that actually turned the tide of the war. So while we had the Battle of Bunker Hill and everything else, New York also played a huge contribution to the fight for independence, which is why New York is, well, it's the reason why New York is big, loud, and very proud of its heritage, and it's a very loud and very boisterous city, but it's also a very proud one. So a lot of respect for the people that live there, and a lot of the respect for the people that grew up there, and a lot of the people that love their state. Reason how I know now, I know what everybody's going to say. Well, I'm not a big Yankee fan, but I do respect the team and stuff like that. There's a reason why they call them the Yankees, is because, well, it's because they were part of the whole squad that actually led us to the defeat of the British and the Germans on our soil, and caused Cornwallis and the rest of his guys to surrender and eventually hand us the eventual victory that we would have, 1 of 2 against the British in a 20 to 30 year period, because we'd have the War of 1812 right after. Another bloody one where the White House got destroyed, but I will save that for another time. And it's, while Britain is a great country, it's an amazing country. It has so much history. We kind of wanted to be our own country. We kind of wanted to be our own people. So I'm a big fan of the British. I like their cars. I like their food. I like their culture, their pop culture and stuff like that. But but the two nations definitely get along with one another, and I do have respect for the British. They did put up a fight to stay here, so um, they did put up a fight to stay here and stuff like that, and there's some controversy that they didn't tax us all that much um, on the tea, but at the time it sounded very bad. I think it was down to the fact that, yeah, a lot of people will tell me now that the tax on the tea wasn't very big, but to us at the time, we were kind of running low on patience and tolerance of British rule, and we kind of want to become our own nation. So I think that's what stems from it. But you know what? Both sides fought hard. They've lost many casualties. They fought for what they believed in, but in the end, the Americans got their independence, and we talk in the English American accents we do today instead of the typical British accent that we know today. We're not talking like this anymore. Because it's we're not talking like that. So we're gonna just talk in this British accent. We're gonna have a cup of tea and some biscuits. We don't talk like that. We're like, have our hamburgers and fries. And have our baked beans and have our clam chowder and drink our Sam Adams beer here in Boston. So, um, happy Independence Day to America. Happy 248 to you. Let you live strong. Let you live free, and let you live a prosperous life, and let us all live a prosperous life. And also, kudos and also shout out to Britain for um, helping us realize that we were actually that we could be a strong nation on our own, and we used what they taught us, and the foundation of what we had in order to eventually become what we have today. So I think without the British pushing us and without the British um, governing us at the time, I don't think we would have gotten the structure. Um, I don't think we would have gotten the structure from them, because we still have Parliament is more, because the Parliament we have is more like the legislature, like the Senate and the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court and the Senate and the House of Representatives. These were kind of things that they had because Parliament had that. Then they had a judicial system, and we also had a democratic ruler as the president, not a king or a queen like Britain does. So we do a lot of their ideas have transferred onto our government, and um, we definitely owe some of their inventions and some of the stuff that they gave us. So we learned a lot from them, and we ended up. And if you look in Boston, a lot of the places in Boston look like places in Britain. A lot of brick buildings, a lot of street lamps, a lot of stone walkways, and um, our harbors are our harbors are filled with ships and stuff like that. Even though we don't use sails too much anymore, you can see in certain old parts of Boston, like East Boston, and parts of Boston that weren't really meant to be built on. Forget the skyscrapers and stuff like that, because skyscrapers couldn't come till much later, thanks to New York, who would kind of dominate the world of skyscrapers until we kind of we got in on the action, of course, in the in the early 1900s on, and 30s, 40s, 50s on. So there's definitely influences in Boston and in the northeastern states from Britain. So kind of without them, we wouldn't be where we are today. But in the end, we won, and we won our independence, and we took our British style from our British from our British forebears here, and we sort of Americanized it into what we know as America the Beautiful today. So I do have to give a hint to Britain for giving us that. So I can't slam or hurt the British too much. So yeah, without the British and without the French, we kind of wouldn't be allies today, and we kind of, and I think after this war, to that war in the War of 1812, we kind of figured it out that we were better as allies, and it was kind of important because we'd be allies and it wouldn't be until about a decade later, about 100 years later, about a millennium later, that we would actually be fighting side by side in not just one war, but two wars to end a tyrannical but also a dominating force of government, which would be the Nazis, the Soviets, and communism in the East and the Far East. So it was an important foundation for both countries, even though Britain was way older than us by few hundred years, by many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. So and they still are an old they're still old enough to be wise and strong, and we're young, but we're also wise and strong. Even though 240 years old is kind of young in the ways of the world. But yes, it wouldn't be possible without the wars and without the progress we made. So, and we wouldn't be saying that America's 248 had we not won this independence. That if we were not driven to fight for our freedom and our rights, and be able to enjoy a holiday where we could celebrate it, and be able to have jobs that are good, and to have freedoms, be able to earn money, be able to own homes and land and stuff like that. We wouldn't be able to do any of that if we weren't well, we would if we were under British rule, but it would be a lot different. And we took British rule, and we took British rule and we Americanized it, basically. So yeah. But yes, again, America, happy 248th birthday. I bid you guys all a good day. I will see you guys tomorrow for another vlog. I think this is episode 443. I think this is episode 72 of the year. We're just past midway, so I'm going to start uploading Gran Turismo content again. I'm going to upload Watkins Glen content very soon. I'm probably going to upload some tonight, and then keep uploading for the next week or two. And I'll let you guys in on my weight loss and all that other stuff. So, as usual, everybody, long live America, God bless America, long live the freedoms and our rights. Amen to all the spirits that we've lost. Also pray for my friends. Let them all live good and long lives, and let them overcome their obstacles that come in their way. And again, happy 248th birthday, America. Happy birthday. Wish I had a cake or something to mark the occasion, but I don't. So I'll see you guys later, and peace out.